like simple things like transitioning from defense to punt return or defense to punt safe, 2 minute into game situations. So you get a little bit of concern as a coach about that, just because you're not necessarily in a normal game mode where you're experiencing those each and every week.
And part of that, concern, I would imagine, special teams wise, not that you have a lot of guys that are missing, but some of them were part of special teams.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you're throwing some new people out there. Maybe they played, but
Yeah, and that's good and bad. So I think, and this is what I've been talking about with North Carolina, is the fact that they've got several new guys playing, and while they're less experienced, they're probably going to be more excited about playing in the game. And so some of our special teams guys are going to be playing increased snaps, or maybe playing for the first meaningful time. Some of our younger players, they're going to have great energy. They just don't have the experience, right? So I think that, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad trade-off in a bowl game. Three things that as a head coach that worry me, and I see it because I watch all the bowl games, is taking care of the football on offense. Simple exchanges, things like that. Second thing is tackling, because you don't really live tackle during the month of December. And the third thing is the special teams. And as much the transitions is the actual schematics of it. Making sure you have 11 guys on the field, making sure that they understand that, hey, people tend to fake punts and fake field goals a little bit more in bowl games than they do during the traditional season. So I think those are the concerns, and all you can do is you work them and get them out there and play.
So obviously you guys have relied so much on your offensive line. Other than 5 snaps, you've had Zach in the middle doing that. So your thoughts? I imagine it's still going to be the same. You guys got to control up front both sides and do that. Can you control up front without Zach there? Brandon doing it?
Here's the thing. We have a lot of trust in Brandon. He's made tremendous growth. Like, he's played at a high level, and I really think playing center, not only in this game but for next season, will give him a real head start. I think he can be an NFL player. And so from an identification standpoint, getting us on the right people, have a lot of faith in him. We're going to treat it the same. We're going to go same run plays that we ran when Zach was in, or same run plays that we're going to run with Brandon there. Same way we protected with Zach, same way that we're going to protect with Brandon. Now, will we miss Zach? Yeah. You don't take that type of player off your team and you say, oh, well, we're just going to continue to roll. So, but I do think, the one positive on it, it's really given us a month head start on the 24 season with that O-line.
Last one for me. Then you've said many times that the teams that are successful in bowl games are usually the ones that want to be there, have the energy to be there. You feel like your guys have accomplished that?
So the only thing that I can go on is how we've practiced, and we've had great energy. We practiced hard on Christmas Eve, which was a Wednesday practice for us, and it was competitive. We did a ton of good work, and we had great energy. And so if we can carry that energy that we've had during the month of December into the game, which I'm confident we can, then I feel confident about our guys being ready to go.
Coach, you were talking about some of the younger players having an opportunity to play for you guys. You mentioned a guy like Corey McIntyre getting a chance in this game. What can he bring, and just, where is he at in his development as a younger player? Yeah,
so Corey is a guy that we're excited about. We were able to maintain his red shirt, which is going to be big. He's really changed his body since June, and that's a credit to Mike and strength conditioning, and also Haley Bishop and nutrition. They've done a great job with him, and he's followed instructions, and he used his resources, which is what you want for the freshman. And he's taking advantage of going against a really good offensive line. I mean, he went against Zach Frazier for 12 straight weeks on the scout team, and that made him better. And so I credit him a lot. And we played him a little bit toward the end of the year, and he's continued to get better. So I'm excited. I'm excited for him. I'm excited for DJ Oliver, who's going to play for the first time in meaningful snaps on offense. He's earned that. And it's been fun. Like, he and Corey, to me, are two guys that have really used what we call our developmental stage, where they basically lift like it's an off season during the season because they're redshirting. And now they're so much better of a player. Their body's better, mentally they're better as far as what we're doing schematically. So I'm excited to see guys like those, like Corey and DJ, in this game.
We bring up DJ. How different is he compared to, CJ Donaldson, Jaheim? I know those guys have a lot of versatility, but in terms of his skill set, how different is he?
Well, he's fast. That's the one thing that by looking at him you wouldn't know. he can run. You know, he consistently hits above 20 miles per hour on our GPS units. He's big. You know, he's 220 plus. He's a tough tackle when he gets going downhill. You know, the things that he's got to continue to improve on are catching the ball out of the backfield, understanding pass protection. But from a run game perspective, he's really talented.
Whenever it comes to their quarterback that they're going to face here, Connor Harrell was just talking with Sean Martin. He said he reminds him a lot of the way that Garrett plays. How beneficial has it been getting ready for that type of quarterback, having someone like Garrett who also has the ability to run the way that he is for this defense?
Well, the difficulty is what you're watching on film with North Carolina is not necessarily how they're going to play in the game. And so that's the reason we've done a lot of good-on-good work during this bowl prep, is because we are a quarterback run team. A lot of the run concepts we use, we anticipate North Carolina using in the bowl game. Connor Harrell is talented now. I watched him. We recruited him out of Thompson High School, and he's won a bunch of games at the highest level in the state of Alabama. He's really well coached by Mark Freeman there at Thompson, and so he throws the deep ball really well, and he's fast. And so we'll be prepared for it, but we expect him to play well.
In terms of their running back, Marion Hampton, you guys have faced a number of talented running backs in the Big 12 Conference. How do you think can he compare to anybody that you've faced so far this season?
Yeah, I don't know about comparison. I just think he's really talented. The thing that's really impressive to me, he's got very few tackles for loss. Like, he very rarely has a negative run. From a running back perspective, one of the fewest number of negative runs in the entire country. And he breaks tackles. He has the ability, he runs with knee drive, and he's a big guy. As I look, he's kind of sitting off to my left here, but he's a big guy and very, very strong lower body, so he breaks tackles. But he's a concern. He's as good as anybody we've played.
Whenever it comes to Garrett, Coach, what has this past month looked like from him? What are you looking to see in the bowl game, kind of in the next steps of his progression?
Well, we've this has been a really good time for him, as we've really tried to put more on him in the pass game. Not necessarily for this game, but really kind of as the next step of his development heading into the 24 season. I'm excited about him. I think that he's just really kind of starting to scratch the surface of what he can be. He's extremely talented. He's got arm talent. He can run. He's got some mojo about him. People like to follow him. But he's got to clean up some things fundamentally. We've got to be a more accurate passer. We've got to do a better job in the intermediate pass game. And so those are the things we've really worked on this month. Whether they'll show in the bowl game tomorrow, I think too early to tell. But I do think there's been some solid work into getting better for the 24 season.
Coach, how do you evaluate your season? Coming in, expectations, and how you finish tomorrow. But, how do you feel like when you look back?
Yeah, I think that when if you look at the body of work during the regular season, we've got a group that has competed really hard. I think that the early part of the schedule was tough. We overcame some adversity. I think when you look at it, is we talk about we want to be a disciplined team. We want to strain. We want to be tough, and we want to play smart football. And I think with the exception of the Oklahoma game, we've able to kind of be who we needed to be successful. We're a blue-collar group. We're not overly fancy. But we play solid football, and so that's how I would tell you. We had a really devastating loss on a Thursday night, and sometimes when you have those types of losses on a Hail Mary, that can really fold a team, and I don't think it did. And then we followed that up with a really hard loss at Oklahoma State in a game that we led late in the fourth quarter. And I think it shows the resiliency of these guys by able to finish strong down the stretch.
What have you been able to do to relax in the hopefully 15 minutes of off time you've had?
Yeah, December there's not much relaxing going on, Kevin. So this is probably the busiest month in the entire calendar year. And so from a time off perspective, between retention, recruiting signing day, recruiting in the portal, and then bowl prep, there's not a lot of downtime. So get about a 3 or 4 day stretch kind of after the bowl game, and then it's kind of right back at it. So like the February is when I'm starting to see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, but it won't be till February. So we were able to enjoy Down at the bowl site here in Charlotte, what we've tried to do is minimize the activities with our players so they have free time, but also because of it, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, is making sure that the staff has time with their families. And so we're able to do that, even though we practice on both days. Like Dax was at practice yesterday, he had the time of his life. And so making sure we take some time as staff members and really celebrate the season and spend quality time with our families.